Hello, and welcome to Foxflow Martial Arts YouTube channel, Thursday Night Live. We're going to start off placing our heels together and then our ankles together, leaving just a little bit of splay between the toes and the feet, and just a little bit of width. So we got a little bit of area to play around with. I went very blurry there for a second. And we're just going to move our hips around a little bit, swaying, looking for a point of balance. A point where the weight gets evenly distributed all around our feet. So we're not too far onto our toes or back onto our heels. We want to find that nice center point. And from there, we're going to extend that point up through our pelvis, through our torso, through our neck, through our head, and out the top of our head, reaching up into the sky, nice and tall. And we want to feel ourselves almost drifting up on that, letting everything hang down from that point. Take a small step out on one side, transfer our weight. Take a small step out on the other side. If we want, look down, make sure our toes are pointed straight ahead. And again, just sway your hips around a little bit. Find a nice point where the weight feels evenly distributed all across the front, sides, and back of your feet. If you're having trouble getting it into the toes, just slightly flex them. Grab on a little bit to the earth. Find that central balance point. Extend it from the ground up into our pelvis, up through our torso, through our neck and head, out the top of our head, connecting us to the universe, gently pulling us up, 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 and let everything else hang off of that point. Our breathing is slow and steady, nice and relaxed. Don't worry too much about any particular technique of breathing. Just allow your in-breath to turn into your out-breath, and your out-breath to turn into your in-breath with as little resistance as possible. No holding breath, no pausing. Feels like one constant wave. In and out. In and out. From here, we're going to bend our knees and slightly sit down. We want to keep our weight evenly distributed around our feet. Check in with it. As we sink down, Does our weight want to shift forward or back or to one side or the other? Does it feel like it wants to twist in any direction? Breathe out. We're going to stand back up. Again, checking to make sure our weight stays evenly distributed and that we're not shifting in any particular direction. Breathing in, we bend our knees again, keeping our weight centered. Maybe sink a little lower this time. Breathing out, we straighten our legs up, checking our balance the whole time, making sure we aren't drifting one way or the other. We're not sliding forward or back. Our weight stays absolutely centered on that line we've drawn with our mind from the ground up through the top of our head. It's like we're descending on that line and getting pulled up on that line. Breathing in, we descend. Exhaling, we stand back up. Let's add some arms into this. And there's a couple of ways that we can do the opening movement of most yang styles of Tai Chi. One, and this is the way I first learned it, is we would bend our knees as we've been doing, inhaling. And as we straighten our legs, we lift our hands, almost being pulled up by the wrists. Arms remain very loose and relaxed. And our hands come down as we bend our legs and sink back down to the bottom. Breathing in. Extend up, filling our limbs. And we exhale. Gliding back down on that imaginary string. Inhale. We inflate up, straightening out to the tips of our fingers. And we exhale. And let everything sink back down. From the side, bend the knees, sinking down. As I inhale, I move my mind from the tips of my toes up through my ankles, shins, knees, legs, hips, torso, shoulders, elbows, wrists, tips of my fingers. And as I exhale, it flows from my fingertips back to my wrists, elbows, shoulders, torso, hips, knees, ankles, and toes. So that's one very common way of doing the opening movement of Yang style Tai Chi. It's the way I first learned. And now I treat it more as a Qigong type movement. So I'm using it in more of a health and awareness type practice where I use that mind-body connection, try and build it up. And I scan myself from the tips of my toes all the way up through my body, out to my fingertips, and out through the top of the head at the same time. And then feel it all flowing back down. So I use it as like almost a scanning movement, where like I'm in a vertical MRI or something, and I'm just like scan all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. The other way that I have learned how to do the opening movement is in more of a martial application. And basically we are going to reverse how our hands and legs are moving. And by that I mean, as my legs bend and I sink my body down, my arms are coming up. So there's a contrary motion that's going with this. And you start off at the top of the cycle. And as I breathe in, I bend my knees, lifting my hands up, sinking down. And then as I exhale, I allow my hands to come down until I hit my waist, and I stand up from there. Inhaling, I sink down, lifting the hands. Exhaling, I allow my hands to drop till they hit waist height, and then I stand up from there. Inhaling. This is my preferred method of doing it whenever I do a Tai Chi form. Even when I'm doing my original Yang style Tai Chi form and the version of it I do today and teach today, that is the motion that I tend to use with it. And I like to break it down into a couple of different stages of learning it. And number one, I'm going to show you from the side here, is my hands rest comfortably at my side. My palms are facing in. My middle fingers are kind of where my, the seam of my pants would be. And as I bend my legs, I lift up, just like that first one, leading with the wrists. And then as I hit the bottom of the arc, my hands roll. And again, leading with the wrists, they push down, and I stand back up. So, leading with the wrist, palms down. I exhale, palms drop. I hit the waist height, and I stand up from there. That's level one, very basic. I just want to lift with my wrist, and as my hands come down, I lead with my wrist and allow my hands to sink down to waist height, and then I just let them keep going and drop down to my sides. So I always tell my students, if you remember Original Karate Kid from back in the 80s, paint the fence, Daniel-san. The next level of this that I like to show is creating more of a circle with our arms, not just going up and down, but I want to try and create a circular motion with this. And I always start this by saying, imagine you're going to catch a ball right in front of your tummy. So my arms are just comfortably bent, not quite like 90 rigid, but just comfortably hanging out in front of my tummy. I don't have them outstretched here or anything like that, nothing too far. So I catch the ball in front of my tummy, and this can be any size ball. I mean, you can do a little ball like this, you do a medium-sized ball, a big ball, a giant ball. I usually stick medium-ish. You know, maybe a little basketball, volleyball-ish size, slightly smaller, something like that. So the first thing I want to do is, as I bend my legs to sit down or squat down, I'm going to raise my hands up and catch that ball in front of my tummy. From here, the ball, I raise it out and up. So it's farthest away from me when it's about parallel with my shoulders. I drop my elbows, let it pull back in close to my chest. And once my elbows are flexed and it's close to my chest, I allow my hands to just drop from there, straight down, back to in front of the tummy, and stand up from there. So catch as we sink, let it come out, about shoulder height, drop the elbows. When it comes in close to the chest, let the hands drop till we're in front of the abdomen, and then stand up from there. From the front, as I bend my knees and breathe in, I first catch the ball. I lift it up till it hits my shoulder height. I let my elbows bend under the weight of gravity. My hands pull back close to my chest. My elbows feel comfortably bent. Like if I had to go any more, I'd have to put some effort into it. And I'm just going to let my hands drop until I'm right where I was when I caught the ball, and then stand up from there. So we breathe in, catching the ball, and lifting it up. Exhale, let the elbows bend, and the hands drop, and raise back up. Breathe in, catch, lift, elbows bend, wrists drop, standing back up. So we've got two basic motions now. We've got the palms down version we started out with. So lifting with the wrists, keeping the palms down. And we've got the catching circle, where our palms face each other. Catching, lifting, what we want to do is we're going to put those two together. And we're going to start off by doing our catch and lift. And then we're going to flip to palms down to finish the movement. But we're going to finish the movement still maintaining that circle from our catch, lift, back and down. So it's going to look a little something like this from the side. Breathe in, I catch the ball, I lift it up. Now to go palms down, I drop the ball, allow weight into my elbows, so my hands pull back in front of my chest. I allow my wrists to relax and get taken over by gravity. I come down to waist height, and I stand up from there. I'm breathing in, catch, lift, drop, elbows, wrists, and stand back up. From the front, we breathe in, sinking down, catch the ball, lift it up. When it hits about shoulder height, we drop the ball. Let gravity take our elbows, pulling our hands back. Let gravity take our wrists, falling down. When we hit waist height, we stand back up and allow our hands to rest at our sides. Again, breathing in, catch, lift, drop, elbows, wrists, standing up. When I move from holding the ball and lifting it up to dropping the ball, I really want to focus on dropping the ball from within my shoulder. What I mean is, I could, if I were holding the ball here, I could just rotate my wrists like this to drop the ball. But I want to try and get as much motion as I can out of my shoulders, rolling my shoulders, pulling my scapula together on the back, allowing my arms to get pulled back towards me. That's a very extreme example, but right? Pull my hands back. Feel my shoulders rolling here. That's where the motion is starting from. To drop the ball, I'm rolling this long humerus bone in my arm and retracting my scapula, pulling them close to my spine. And I say, like, I'm doing that in like an active fashion. You can also very much view it in the passive, where you would be relaxing the opposing muscle groups to that, basically relaxing your internal rotators of your shoulder to allow that external rotation of your shoulder. And rather than pulling your scapula into your spine, you can be relaxing across the chest and allowing your shoulder blades to just naturally be drawn in from their own tension. Not tension, from their own muscular connections. When Both of them are totally valid. If you want to be more technically correct about it being very Tai Chi and very relaxation focused, then definitely go for the latter, where we are relaxing the chest and arms to allow our shoulders to rotate. It can be kind of difficult to get your head around that, especially at first as a beginner. And in that case, like, work on the active side of it, where we're really purposefully rolling that shoulder and really purposefully pulling our arm back, and feel what it's like to get our shoulder blades, you know, kind of wrapping around our back and trying to like touch them together on either side of our spine. Get used to that feeling, build that feeling, like build the mind body connection there. Like, this is what it feels like. And when you have that, then you say, okay, now I can start working on the yin aspect of it, the relaxation. I understand the active. I need to engage these muscles to have that motion work. What are the opposing muscle groups? What do I relax to allow that same motion to happen? And honestly, my favorite way to try and explain how we get this shoulder motion and what's happening with it is, imagine you've got one of those big long trench coaty things on, you know, but you're super cool, so you don't actually have your arms through it. That's just over your suit. And so it's just hanging off of your shoulders there. And you want to make a dramatic entrance into a room. You know, you come in through the front door and you just go, and just throw that trench coat off. So if you get that feeling of, right, just throwing off a coat, like just letting that slide off of your shoulders, just, right, or a cape or something, you know, undo the clasp, and, you know, it goes, it hits the floor behind you, you don't care. You probably have servants or something like that to pick it up for you. But that's the feeling that I really like going for, and telling my students to, you know, maybe try thinking about. And if that works for you, great. If not, don't worry about it. When it comes to visualization in these types of practices, honestly, it's whatever you gravitate towards, whatever works best for you. And I think personally, if you have something pop into your head while you're doing a movement of like, oh, that kind of reminds me of, or it puts you in a certain mindset, like something just clicks, then that's the visualization that's probably the best for you. And just go with it. There's no right or wrong, no good or bad to this. Just whatever works for you helps you get you into that mindset. Okay, that being said, let's keep practicing this. Really seeing if we can get that shoulder movement. And once you get that dialed in, it feels so spectacular on this movement. So, standing tall, balance centered. We breathe in, catch the ball in front of our tummies. Lift it up. And when we go to drop the ball, we're going to roll the shoulder. Pull the scapula back towards each other. Let weight take your elbows. Let weight take your wrists. And press up out of the earth. We breathe in, sinking down, catch the ball, lift it up, extend the arms out. Drop the ball, roll the shoulder. Feel that rolling motion until the palms are facing down. We let gravity take our elbows, pulling our hands closer to our body. Let gravity take our wrists, pressing down the hips And then we press out of the earth, standing tall. Sinking down, we catch and lift. Roll those shoulders. Let gravity take our elbows and our wrists. And press out of the earth. Catch. Lift. Roll the shoulders. Gravity takes our elbows and our wrists. Press out of the earth. Sinking, catch, lift. Roll the shoulder. Elbows, wrists, press. Catch, lift, shoulders, elbows, wrists, press. Catch, lift, roll the shoulders, elbows, wrists, press. Keep going with that for a minute. I need to check and see if there's any commentary or if I figure out how commentary works yet. Let's see here. Don't chat. No one's chatting. Okay. That makes it easy. So there's a couple of variations. The most common ones you are going to find. And again, like I say, the simpler variation, the more scanning motion. I do that when I just kind of want to lose myself in something. I don't want to worry about the very specifics about doing it in a quote-unquote martial way. But whenever I am doing my Tai Chi forms, I do treat those as a specific martial art. And so when I'm doing those, I make sure to do that opening movement in that very martial way. Also, because of the way I learned it the second time, it wasn't actually in that horse stance that we were practicing it. We would practice it in a wide horse stance. So basically hanging out with our legs spread pretty darn wide and our toes facing out on about a 45-degree angle-ish. This is all about getting hip rotation and movement, mobility in our hips. So our toes rotate out as far as we are comfortable. Don't ever push this into a point of pain under any circumstances. And the second thing we really have to watch out for anytime we are turning out our toes like this and we are looking at doing mobility work and gaining extra mobility, it can be a very common thing to try and push it a little bit and try and go beyond our current mobility to try and achieve a particular type of goal, a particular type of rotation or movement, depth, anything. The thing to always check is our knees. And if you're new here, you haven't heard me say this before, I'm going to try and say it in every class. Always watch your knees and make sure that those are tracking directly over the line of your toes. Never, ever, ever go to a point, like if we're dropping down or raising up or twisting or anything, where we feel pressure on the inside or the outside of our knees. So that it's usually going to be on the inside that people will feel it, especially under rotational movements with our toes turned out, when we're trying to rotate. And here I've rotated 45 degrees, but I think I really want to face that wall. So I don't have the flexibility in my hips to do that. So I end up kind of cheating and dragging my hips, and you can see my knee starts to kind of collapse in there. Now, it's a very overly dramatic example, but I hope you can see that if I just try and pull myself more, I let my knee go down and I start feeling pressure on the inside of my knee. We never, ever, ever want that. So always, anytime you're in a challenging position like this, try and keep some mental awareness just to track what's going on with your knees and how your knees feel. Years down the road, you will thank the hard work you put in and the dedication you put into it now, early in your Tai Chi journey. And we're going to hang out here with our toes out and our legs spread wide, tall through the top of the head, as we've been doing. If you want, you can swirl your hips around like we did at the beginning of this class. Try and find a nice point where your balance is, again, right in the center. And you could draw an imaginary line from where your balance is hitting the floor, up through your pelvis, through your torso, through the top of your head, and out. So we're still looking for that same central balance point that we've been working on since the beginning of this class, and hopefully you should have in all of your Tai Chi, have that line, have that balance point. From here, we're going to do the same thing we were doing in our kind of medium frame horse stance, and that is just bend our knees and allow our body to sink while keeping that straight up and down alignment. And the body just sinks down, 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 down. And then when you hit the bottom, breathe out. And you raise up on that same line. And however deep you can go right now, that's great. Don't worry about hitting a specific height, especially at the beginning. And honestly, I'm not sure it ever really pays off, other than just a, kind of a gold star on the board. The key with this exercise is we really want to maintain that straight up and down alignment of our spine. So if I do this from the side, and I hope this works out. This might be difficult with this jacket on, but we should hopefully see that if you were to split me in half this way here, that I would kind of bisect, going down and having, a center point basically between my feet, on this line, and that I should be able to extend out from the top of there. Now, as I bend my knees and sink down, hopefully you can see that I'm descending down basically on that same line, on that same balance point, and I'm not allowing my butt to stick out or slide in any particular direction. I should maintain basically that same straight up and down alignment, I hope. at any point where I start to feel like my body tilt, especially at that hip joint, that's kind of the limit of my range of motion. So if I'm standing up nice and tall, everything's centered, and I start to bend my knees and sink down, most commonly, at a certain point, you're going to hit it and you're going to want to stick your butt out. And you're going to start doing this thing. Right? So as you run out of range of motion in your hips, for most people, what they're going to do is they're going to start letting their butt slide out. Because our goal is to maintain that straight up and down, what we really want when we're practicing our awareness of this is we want to be able to feel as we descend that point in which our butt would start to stick out. Just that tiniest, that difference of a millimeter in height where our pelvis starts to tilt, where we start to lean and our spine starts to go. Once we can identify that point, we know where our current working range of motion is. And we want to work that range of motion very slowly, very precisely, sinking down until we feel just the instant that our butt wants to start going out, and we stop there and we go back up. And we work that range of motion, developing that awareness, that sensitivity to the point where our pelvis wants to tilt on us. And if we only work to that range and we're just always getting to the point where our pelvis just wants to go, that's pretty optimal for increasing range of motion over time and have it be lasting gains, things that your nervous system just knows and understands and can do. The other way that tends to happen with people, it is a smaller percentage of the population that I have taught. Basically, you can have the opposite sort of slide. And this one is a little bit trickier to self-diagnose, because with at least the people I've taught this, what tends to happen is it happens right at the very start of the range of motion. So there isn't a tipping point as in the previous one where we go down and then something sort of almost like pops out. For people who are having the opposite, where they tend to rock forward as they sink down, it tends to happen right at the start. So it's a difficult thing for you to, quote unquote, feel, because there isn't a change for our minds to really grasp and latch onto. And honestly, the only suggestions I really have for you are, well, get to a teacher if you possibly can. I'm going to do my best teaching you here, but there's only certain things that you can do via YouTube. Get yourself to a teacher. You can check yourself in a mirror. And these days, I honestly highly recommend grab your phone, film yourself doing these things from every angle. Go back and really watch the film, and you'll start noticing things in yourself. You're like, oh, I didn't know I did that. That's interesting. I take that step differently on the right side versus on the left side. And, you develop good skills at noticing these things in yourself. Having an endless sense of curiosity about your particular universe in your body and how much you can get to know and feel and is the real secret to having a long, long, long-lasting Tai Chi and Qigong practice. So, film yourself. make sure you aren't doing that. And this is, again, probably an extreme example just to sort of show off. Right? Getting a bend like that. Make sure that we can sink straight down, 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 down. Okay. So that is also the Mabu that you will tend to see on fitness influencers channels and stuff like that. There's certain things about it that they tend to go for. Very traditional training. You would actually, hang on. You'd actually have a stick, or your teacher would have a stick, right? And you would go down into your Mabu, and you would place a stick across your lap. See if I can still do it. Nope. A little lower. There we go. All right. And you hang out there. Oops. Not quite. Pretty close though. And you can train yourself to do that for extended periods of time. I did that. I haven't done it in a while. I have lost the ability to do it, apparently. And I will probably still work on it, you know, for fun, if you can call that sort of training fun. But it's not going to be my main priority now that I'm, you know, older. But if you're young enough and I'm teaching you, I'm still going to make you do that. All right. So yes, that was a long way of getting around too. Doing that same opening movement in a nice wide horse stance. So again, starting off as usual, swirl the waist around, make sure our balance is nice and centered, tall through the top of the head, nice and relaxed. And then as we breathe in, sinking down, catch the ball, lift the ball, drop, roll with the shoulders, up the elbows, hands, and press out of the earth. So, catch, lift, roll, elbows, wrists, press. So that's the extra challenging version of it. If you really want to work on opening up your hips, gaining a little more flexibility, mobility, never push yourself too hard on this sort of thing. I always like to say, go to the edge of uncomfortable, hang out there. Eventually that becomes comfortable and you can move the edge. So I guess the themes of tonight are focus on centering your balance point, feeling that balance point, be able to move up and down on that balance point, and gain awareness of when you move off of that balance point, when that straight up and down line changes, and learn to work in your range of motion, the edge of uncomfortable, and then that will extend over time. So hope you enjoyed that tonight, and tune in next week. We'll be back again, and with a different theme, probably also cycle back in some of the Qigong we were doing in the first couple episodes of this, and just we'll slowly build up a practice. And if you got any suggestions, anything you'd like to see, I try and make this video go live as soon as I'm done. And if you can drop a comment in that video's comment section about anything you would like to see coming up on these live classes, I would really appreciate it. So thank you for joining me. Have yourself a lovely evening.